I'm co-chairing the meeting today. Long Island Railroad is taking the lead at this joint meeting, and we will begin first with public comment.
One moment, we're having a technical difficulty. Good morning. Public speakers have 2 minutes to speak. In keeping with rules of decorum, please keep all comments on topic, and please refrain from public attacks. Our first speaker will be Murray Bowden, followed by Brian Fritsch.
Yeah, my microphone does work, but I just demonstrated to you what happens when you're sitting in a car that's soundproof. You can't hear a word. What I just said is when I'm talking and I'm in a soundproof car, you can't hear me. And anybody in a soundproof car cannot hear a train horn. So why are you using a train horn for safety purposes if it can't be heard by the people who are supposed to hear it? The rules were made for a time that were different than a time that we are living now. You have to start with the train horn, use traffic lights and gates like at the Willis Avenue Bridge, like all the crossings in Florida and everywhere else. It's a standard known to everybody else. Safety requires notifying the people of an unsafe condition. A train horn does not do that. So why do you use them? You used them 150 years ago when there were no platforms and everybody was standing on a road. They had the one that you know there was a crossing. They took 2 pieces of wood and they nailed them together, caused a crossbar. That makes no sense today. Everywhere you go, you put C on the ground, don't block the box. Everybody knows don't block the box. Stay out of it, you get a ticket. Well, why don't you use it at railroad crossings? Well, because we didn't. It's time, and it's your responsibility as a committee to hire and fire. And as the president of the railroad does not obey and make it the safest, then you replace the president of Metro-North Railroad. I'm doing what needs to be said. We're living in a different world. I address somebody by...
Please conclude your remarks.
And I can't use names anymore. I have early dementia.
Thank you for your remarks. Please conclude.
I want to
Murray, keep going, Murray.
Our next speaker is Brian Fritsch, followed by Alita Dupree.
Good morning. I'm Brian Fritsch, Associate Director of the Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee to the MTA, PCAC. We are glad to see continuing increases in ridership, a testament to the importance and ease of the railroads in our region. And we're impressed by the railroad's continued success in completing accessibility and state of good repair projects while maintaining record on-time performance. But we hope and expect the railroads will continue to also focus on the little things that go beyond the numbers and have outsized impacts on riders' experiences. This includes ensuring that the Grand Central Passage is open at stated or expanded hours and improving the transfer opportunities at Jamaica Station so that on-time riders are actually able to make their connection and avoid lengthy delays. Similarly, as the reconstruction of the East River tunnels begins, we hope and expect early and frequent communication with riders so they can smartly adjust their schedules, just as you will, to be as efficient as possible. Losing 23% of the tunnel's capacity through 2027 is daunting, but we're grateful to have a well-functioning alternative at Grand Central Madison to give riders options. The work on the tunnels is getting underway just as we mark the 12th anniversary of Hurricane Sandy tomorrow. It underscores just how expensive, complicated, and disruptive these projects are and what immense challenges lay ahead for both railroads. Last week, a UN report stated that the Earth is currently on pace for a catastrophic average temperature rise that will drastically increase the severity and frequency of dangerous heat waves, destructive storms, and other disasters. We know another Sandy will come, and we must prepare. The resiliency plan released last year and the capital plans rightly identify many of the system's challenges, but if congestion pricing is not unpaused and the next plan is not fully funded, riders will be left without a train to catch. Governor Hochul, act now and unpause the pause. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. Our next speaker is Alita Dupree, followed by Jason Anthony.
Thank you. Good morning to the chair. Alita Dupree, for the record, she and her with Team Folds. How about some old Grand Central Terminal for you? Wish they had still had the old track number signs. In reading the report, I'm really impressed. 88% on the Long Island and 80% on Metro North. We have a playbook that's working. And I think how do we go further? How do we get more people on the trains? And in reading the various subsections of the reports, it looks like we're doing well. It looks like we're doing okay with electricity. But we should buy renewable electricity. I do in my home. And I think certainly people would enjoy our railroads more if we had renewable electricity and fuel. And the Grand Central train shed is absolutely essential. I'm sure they'll talk about that in Capitol, I hope, today, because we have to keep our facilities old and new, always in a state of top condition. But I think our railroads are not just about conveyances to help people where they need to go, but they should be enjoyed. I've been using Metro North since I first set foot in Grand Central Terminal in the fall of 1980 and discovered things much bigger than myself. And yes, I do remember the old track number signs. How do we continue that? There are millions of people around the world who come to enjoy Grand Central Terminal, and now they get to see Grand Central Madison. Can we move more service to Grand Central Madison in light of the East River tunnels? I think we can. But most of all, I leave you with this. You can never have enough Grand Central Terminal, which I take very seriously. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for your remarks. Our next speaker is Jason Anthony, followed by Andy Pollock.
Good morning, Mark. Good morning, President Rob, Kathy, and the rest of the Joint Commuter Rail Committee. Jason Anthony here from the Long Island Railroad 88 Task Force. First things first, I want to give a good shout out to Chief Mueller that once again his team proved that he could handle large crowds, not only at Grand Central Terminal, but also at Penn Station. Chief, thank you, like always. Because yesterday we had a large rally at Penn Station. I was there for 2 whole hours, and we need to give a good appreciation to Chief Mueller's team, along with Chief Kemper. My God, the MTA has 2 brains when it comes to safety. We have it all. Let's get to business. Regarding the 2025 to 2029 capital plan, we need to remind every single elected official from Long Island to upstate New York, everything's at stake, folks. Because I take Long Island Railroad, I take Metro North. Rob and Kathy are excellent managing their own respective systems. This is why we need to support the capital plan. And let me tell you, we need larger elevators, ramps. The Grand Central shed needs to get replaced because if not, we're going to lose Grand Central, and we don't want to lose it.
Thank you for your
So
remarks.
that's all, folks.
Thank you for your remarks. Our next speaker is Andy Pollock, followed by Jesse Figueroa.
Good morning, everyone. Andy Pollock here, Passengers United. Before I begin my remarks, I want to mention that the number of registered public speakers were not talked about at the very beginning of this meeting. So let's make sure we have that for the remainder of the day going into CPOC and the finance meeting. Now, let's talk about the Long Island Railroad schedules. Well. It is the final Monday in the month of October, and we still do not have the schedules yet that are supposed to begin on November 11th and are supposed to last until March of 2025. So I'm hoping that this particular week, we are going to get the new PDF timetable schedules for the railroad, especially because yours truly will be riding the Long Island Railroad during the holiday season, as usual, to see the sights and sounds of New York City, which is a magical place to be during the calendar year. And I also want to mention regarding the Long Island Railroad schedules, we used to have easier connections on the Port Washington branch between Woodside, either going to Penn Station or Grand. You know, you guys used to make it very convenient for us. Now, when we look at train time, we're being told that we have to wait on average now a half hour at each and every Port Washington branch station versus just waiting at Woodside for every 20 minutes like it used to be. So I don't know what's up with that. And also I want to mention, we're getting sick and tired of these 8-car train sets. The trains are getting crowded. There's not enough seats anymore, especially on the Penn Station trains. So we need 10 to 12 cars during the holiday season, beginning the week of Thanksgiving and going into the first week of the new year as a start. So that's pretty much it. Thank you for letting me speak this month.
Thank you for your remarks. Our next speaker is Jesse Figueroa, followed by Casey Ralfucci.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jesse Figueroa. I am a U.S. Army veteran with a disability. I am also a member of the LIRR 88 Task Force. Most importantly, I am in full support of the capital plan for 2025 to 2029. As a veteran with a disability, we need to make sure that our stations are fully accessible, which means larger elevators, wider ramps, LED lighting, and signage enlargement. We also need to make sure that our subways, railroads, buses, and Access-a-Ride are updated. As a veteran with a disability, it is important that our elected officials support the capital plan for 2025 to 2029 and congestion pricing. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. Our next speaker is Casey Ralfucci, followed by Cassie Ralfucci, followed by Christopher D. Greif.
Good morning, Commissioner Chu, Commissioner Lopez, and President Freed. My name is Cassie Rafushi, and I'm a member of Passengers United. I would like to address a Metrocar vending machine situation at the Jamaica Suffolk Boulevard station, which also houses the Long Island Railroad Jamaica stop. I received a complaint from a Passengers United member about that specific station, that the Metrocar vending machines are that never always take cash. It's always never taking cash. And this is something that commuters that travel via Long Island Railroad who would like to connect to the E and the J train into the city at that specific stop need to have access to the Metrocar vending machines at that stop that need to take cash. Maybe some people don't have a debit card or a credit card. So I don't understand why those Metrocar vending machines are not accepting cash at Jamaica Suffern Boulevard, which also is the Long Island Railroad Station, Jamaica, Queens. So please address that situation immediately. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. Our next speaker is Christopher D. Greif, and then we will check to see if our final registered speaker has joined the Zoom.
Good morning. Sorry for the little delay. Got a little stuck in traffic. Good morning. I'm Christopher D. Greif. As an advocate for persons with disability, first, I want to thank our presidents because during our summer times, we do want to appreciate how services have been running. And I can tell you, Long Island Railroad, Metro North has run their trains, including if we have to reroute a train because there was a problem. Thank God they do let us know, and making sure the accessibility customer could be a senior or a person with disability or a veteran that are making sure the safety. And we also want to thank our MTA police, which I was trying to say hello to him earlier, but faster than stealing bullet, but it's okay. But I do agree with my fellow other advocates. We need to make sure that the capital plan is still going through. So I am making this clear that we need the capital to make sure full funding is going in, from cameras to buses to the railroads to our stations and larger signages that we need. We need those because our system needs to make sure that we are strong and unite. And I say this every time, and I will say this every time. This is the new MTA, not the old MTA. And I want to thank Andrew, who always mentions my name and always, says it very clearly, very loudly, because a lot of our people who introduces me always says my name, and I do want to thank him and everyone. And if even could not mention my names in the past, don't worry. I will still say this. I will always if you say grief, I will cause grief. It's a joke. Like that. But I do want to thank them, and let's still continue making sure that all our services are up to date with the cares, with the signages, and as the holiday season's coming in, we need to make sure that even additional signages are out there to make sure that people know where to go, where the safety is. MTA Police Chief, thank you so much, and let's make sure we don't see any pickpockets.
Please conclude your remarks. Thank you for your remarks. Our final speaker will be Maddie W. Bucky's Highland.
Thank you again, Mr. Butter, and good Monday morning, folks. I'm Maddie W. Bucky's Highland. I just want to say one quick thing about the capital plan. It's great to see that the Babylon station will be 100% ADA accessible soon with the opening, hopefully, Massapequa Park. And I hope to join soon the Long Island Railroad ADA Task Force. Thank you, and God bless everyone. Thank you.
This concludes our public comments.
Thank you. All right. The key performance metric reports are in the book, so if anyone wants to take a look, then please do so. And we're going to move to the joint railroad administrative items. I know some of the committee members are now in other meetings or in transit, so we're going to postpone just temporarily the approval of the minutes and move to the 2024 work plans. And I understand that there's no changes in the Long Island Railroad or the Metro North work plans, and they're also in the book. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. Okay, the agency president's reports. We'll now hear from the president reports from both railroads. Rob, we'll begin with you since the Long Island Railroad's in the lead.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. September represented an absolutely incredible month in terms of ridership at the Long Island Railroad as we broke several post-pandemic ridership records. For the month of September, we accommodated 6.7 million customers, which is the highest monthly total since the pandemic and represented 88% of September 2019 ridership. Total 2024 ridership was 19.5% above September of last year, and year-to-date, as of September, ridership is up 16.6%. Monthly ticket ridership was up 33.9% versus September of last year, and non-commutation was up 19.2%. So as you can see, ridership is exploding in all areas. We often talk about non-commutation ridership, but we're seeing increases in all areas. And even with all that increased ridership, we still achieved an on-time performance of 96% for the month of September. This is a tremendous achievement, especially when considering all the events that took place in September. As I've mentioned previously in other committee meetings, that we transport people to 5 venues in our system. And 3 of those are actually main track stops. They're not end-of-line or terminal destinations. While it presents a great boon to our ridership, it does present operational challenges. There were 3 days alone in September that there was events that took place at the same exact time at all 5 venues. There were more days that had events at all locations on the same day, but they were at different times. This was 3 times within the month. So it was an incredible job by our operations team, and I want to thank them. And it looks like we made a good impression on the sports teams that utilized our service last year. They're back. Just this past Saturday, the Florida Panthers utilized the Long Island Railroad to the UBS Arena for their game against the New York Islanders. Unfortunately, the Islanders lost, but it's another subject. So I know everyone has been anxiously awaiting our schedules to accommodate the upcoming Amtrak rehabilitation work in the East River tunnels to repair damage caused by Superstorm Sandy. As you are aware, 2 tunnels will require significant work to repair this damage. The planned outage will necessitate 1 tunnel to be taken out of service at a time for a total duration of about 30 months. The upcoming November 11th timetable was designed to accommodate this work. I want to emphasize how much the Long Island Railroad demanded to Amtrak as minimal impact to our customers as possible. There were months and months of dialogue between the 3 rail carriers that utilized Penn Station, and I'm happy to report that this intense but collaborative dialogue and the opening of Grand Central Madison has resulted in minimal impact to our overall service. For the November timetable, the most impactful scheduling effect on customers will be that only 2 trains will be diverted from Penn Station to Grand Central Madison. As with any timetable change, there will be other slight adjustments to some schedules, so please check our website and the Train Time app for updated schedules. As you can imagine, this is a major impact to the infrastructure and its flexibility. We will continue to monitor and make adjustments as necessary as this momentous project progresses. Again, I want to thank our operations and planning teams who skillfully navigated this outage and advocated for our customers' best interest with Amtrak. You may recall back in June, we announced a new method of capturing customer feedback on our station bathrooms by placing decals in each bathroom featuring QR codes that customers can scan to report issues related to bathroom cleanliness or supplies directly to our cleaning teams for attention. We also announced this initiative would be expanded to our onboard bathrooms as well. I'm proud to say this process has begun. Installation of decals on board bathrooms is currently taking place, and once installed, they are in service. Total installation is set to be completed before the end of this year, and we've actually already begun receiving responses from the initial rollout. We want to know what's going on in real time, and we feel this new and proactive approach will help us improve the overall customer experience. To support this initiative, we have made some comprehensive updates to our onboard bathroom cleaning practices, such as debuting a new cleaning platform in Ronkonkoma Yard, which increases our output of cars receiving an intense cleaning by about 50 cars a week. Car appearance maintainers and stations will be equipped with proper cleaning supplies to address bathroom cleanliness in addition to ensuring bathrooms are properly stocked. There will also be field spot audits conducted focusing on onboard bathrooms. This initiative is a priority for the Long Island Railroad as we know it's important to our customers. I would like to thank the Maintenance of Equipment Department led by John Stolz for their incredible efforts to implement this process. Comfort and convenience are 2 major components to a great customer experience, and we are always happy to be able to turn customer feedback into progress. We recently unveiled the new customer seating area on Grand Central Madison's mezzanine level near 47th Street, in close proximity to the escalators for tracks 301 and 302. The area features 14 2-seat pairs for a total of 28 seats, and it's available to ticketed Long Island Railroad customers with a 90-minute limit. So in addition to our main waiting area on the concourse level, our customers will now also have an additional place to sit that's closer to the platforms on the mezzanine level. These are just some of the things we are doing at the Long Island Railroad to improve the customer experience. No matter what the situation is, our employees always step up for a worthy cause. Over the past month, the Long Island Railroad employees, family members, and friends participated in a pair of charity walks and their associated fundraising campaigns. The first took place on September 22nd along the Long Beach Boardwalk to benefit the Long Island Crisis Center in their efforts to prevent suicide. I was thrilled to join my colleagues that day to support those on the front lines of this critical issue. And for those who are wondering, yes, I did complete the walk, and I did not require medical assistance when it was completed. On October 20th, both Central Park and Jones Beach, our employees once again made their presence felt at the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer walk. Tens of thousands of vital research and support dollars were raised by employees at every MTA agency. And I'm not going to say which agency raised the most money, but its initials are LIRR. I want to thank Executive Vice President Janine Meem and Long Island Railroad Captains Charmaine Frazier and Randy Harris for all the coordination that made these campaigns such a huge success. All right, to an even more exciting subject. All right, we're going to talk about and update you on our progress towards achieving our savings targets as part of the 2024 and forward budget plan. I will also preview some initiatives identified for additional savings beginning in 2025. As you know, the governor and state legislature delivered in providing critical funding for the MTA during last year's budget process. And as part of that budget package, each agency was tasked with reducing costs. The Long Island Railroad's target was $60 million in recurring savings, and we are happy to say we will realize those savings for 2024. This effort has challenged us to look beyond just cutting costs, but to find new ways to manage and perform our work. As mentioned, these savings are required each year, and we will continuously look to find innovative ways to reduce costs. As evidence of this broad deep dive review to achieve operational efficiencies, we reduced M&V overtime spending by 8% versus 2023, reduced M&W overtime by 34% versus 2023, and decreased M&V material usage by 13.5% versus budget. These savings achievements are a testament to the dedication and hard work of the entire team at the Long Island Railroad. They understand and are fully committed to managing a cost-effective operation, and I thank them for their efforts. And if that wasn't enough, we've also identified additional savings of $10 million for 2025 and beyond. By continuing to review our operation utilizing data analytics, optimizing our maintenance practices, and properly managing our contracts. We are extremely focused and accept the responsibility of controlling spending and running an efficient railroad, as that is one of our strategic priorities here at the Long Island Railroad. And that concludes my report, and I'll answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for the president, for Rob? Being none. Okay, now we're going to pass the baton over to Kathy. Kathy, for your report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everybody. I also want to start with ridership because, like Long Island Railroad, it has been really a terrific story since Labor Day. Looking first at the month of September, Metro North carried 5.8 million riders in September, which represents a 6.4% increase from August and 16.4% higher than September of 2023. This represents almost 81% of pre-COVID ridership when compared to September of 2019. And September was the first month that this metric exceeded 80%. Robust return-to-work ridership pushed weekday totals to several new post-COVID records. And ridership to Yankee Stadium also benefited from the Yankees' march to the World Series, with ridership to and from several games exceeding 10,000, which represents more than 10% of the gate. This upward trend has continued into the month of October, which is great to see. We set a new post-COVID record of 249,266 riders on Tuesday the 15th, which represents 86% of an average pre-COVID weekday compared to October of 2019. That week, average weekday ridership was at 84.6% of pre-COVID ridership. Ridership on our popular weekend leaf peeper trains has been extremely strong. I actually have late-breaking news from this past weekend. We started the fall foliage season on the weekend of the 5th. We had added 2 extra round trips between GCT and Beacon, which was consistent with ridership that we had seen in previous years. That weekend, it became very clear that the ridership was exceeding our past year's experience. So on the weekend of the 19th and the 20th, we added 2 more round trips to accommodate the number of people who've been riding on the weekends. And that again was inadequate. So this past weekend, we added another northbound train in the morning so that we were operating 3 trains to Beacon between 9:30 and 10 a.m., which has been the peak travel period. That represents 2,400 seats within 30 minutes, which is pretty incredible for us. If we're looking just preliminarily at our ridership this past weekend, another beautiful rain-free weekend, we took nearly 7,000 riders up the Hudson Valley on Saturday morning and another 6,000 on Sunday morning, which is record numbers of leaf peeping, say that 10 times fast, leaf peeping ridership. So we're thrilled to see this kind of discretionary ridership on the weekends. It really is our signature season, so it's been a really great time for us, and I think really reinforces the extent to which riders are just returning to both commuter rails. The Yankees have reached the World Series, and I don't know how long they're going to stay there, but they have reached the World Series. Justin's going to give an update of some of the Yankees' ridership programs, but essentially we were operating a full slate of extra services to and from the stadium during the World Series with extra Yankee Clipper trains to the game on the Hudson, Harlem, and New Haven lines, extra Hudson Line trains stopping at the stadium, and shuttle trains operating between Grand Central, Harlem 125th Street, and the stadium. Okay. Go Yankees. They need all the help they can get. 2 weeks ago, we hosted the International Association of Public Transport, UITP, where we exchanged insights and ideas with a distinguished delegation of international and U.S. transportation agencies. This gathering provided a unique opportunity for us to share how we address key priorities such as operational efficiency, recruitment of new staff and development of existing staff, and the delivery of critical infrastructure and resiliency improvements in response to increasingly frequent weather events. It also provided us the opportunity to have a dialogue with domestic and international leaders in the transportation industry. Delegates came from the following agencies: the Denver Regional Transportation District, New Jersey Transit, LIRR Amtrak, SNCF, RATP Group, both of those from France, Transdev Group, Via Mobilidade from São Paulo, the Norwegian Railway Directorate, Ferrovie Nord Milano from Italy, Irish Rail, and Network Rail. They all participated in these exchanges. We expect that this conference will lead to ongoing dialogue with these transportation leaders, as well as future initiatives to be able to strengthen our partnerships across the public transportation industry. We do these best practice exercises because it's an important part of our effort to make our operations more efficient. Like Rob, I'm going to provide a brief update with respect to our ongoing initiatives as part of the fiscal baseline reset, both for 2024 and looking ahead to 2025. In 2024, we've continued our progress towards delivery of our $40 million target as part of this mandated program. I'll remind the committee that because certain of our savings actually are attributable to our operations within the state of Connecticut, although we don't operate a separate sort of group of employees for Connecticut, we actually had to find an additional $15 million in savings to be able to meet our New York-only target. So we are on track to delivering this $55 million requirement in 2024. So to be able to do this, we identified initiatives in a number of different areas, including contract reductions, materials management cost avoidance, standard work, and identification of operating efficiencies. I'm going to go into that in a little bit more detail in a little bit. Energy management forecasting, certain non-operations headcount reductions, improvements in employee availability, and fare box recovery. Our 2 most significant changes to business include reductions in overtime spend and the standard work pilot. On the standard work, really what this involves is setting a baseline standard of how we perform business in the shop, ensuring data governance and the quality of data, and performance accountability adheres to our standard baseline, and instilling change management and change culture as to why this matters, not just to leadership, but also to the crafts who work in the shop. So the project has required a couple of different things. First, we needed to define and baseline the consistent work that we perform day to day in our shops and yards, identify the wrench time, what it actually takes to perform that work, and then cost that out. What does this wrench time entail with respect to our cost structure? The pilot this year focused on the inspection and repair of our M7 fleet during the 92-day inspection, and we set a goal to have the inspection and necessary repairs completed and ready for service in less than 24 hours. Within the first 8 to 9 months of implementation here in 2024, we are already meeting the newly defined time standard more than 70% of the time for our M7 inspection and repair work at Croton Harmon, which is a great start. As we look forward to the end of 2024 and beyond into 2025, we're looking to all shops in the maintenance of equipment department, moving from Croton Harmon to North White Plains and then to New Haven. And we're also going to take some of these principles to our M&W department in Grand Central Terminal and North White Plains. This is going to allow us to build beyond these initial definitions of standard work, set forth on more standard setting and data collection, and better understand the costs of doing business at our railroad. On the OT management front, if we look at both of these operating departments, M&V and M&W, we've reduced overtime in M&V by 29% and by 21% in M&W. This was achieved in a couple of ways. Number one, through work order management. That's a more tight control with respect to capitalizing work that we can appropriately capitalize, as well as being much more analytical with respect to identifying value and non-value added work order allowances and being much more discriminating with respect to the approval of overtime. In addition, we're using more analytics with respect to analyzing our overtime data. We have a much tighter approval process, a much tighter governance process, and we're using analytics to be able to dig into specific locations and high spend areas, by district, by line, by shop, as a way of being much more thoughtful with respect to the assignment of overtime. It's got to be more about numbers and percentages and specific dollar targets. It's about setting standards for our employee, standards for the maintaining of data, skill standards, and bringing about overall culture change across the railroad. I want to thank all of those who've been really part of this all-hands-on-deck effort. It's something that we're really proud of, and as I said, looking to expand across the railroad as we look forward into 2025 and beyond. As Rob noted, both railroads have an additional target. So on top of the $55 million in savings that we've already identified for 24, we have an additional $10 million target for 2025. And we've actually are in the process of developing a targeted and comprehensive strategy to be able to meet this increased target. As already discussed, part of that is going to be the scale up of standard work. We're going to challenge our M&W department, Mike, to be more aggressive with respect to identifying OT reduction targets. And we're also participating in an ongoing materials management diagnostic to be able to identify additional opportunities to find efficiencies with respect to materials management. This will include a supply chain diagnostic, a vendor pricing audit, audits of warranty work, a min-max inventory management, and improved inventory and warehouse leasing or program to be able to identify additional reduction opportunities, as well as renegotiations with some of our top suppliers. As is the case with all of the MTA operating agencies, we are committed to our cost avoidance and cost savings targets, as well as our revenue generation activities under this FBR umbrella. It's not just about saving money, though that's important. Obviously, it's just a part of an overall way of building up the credibility of the agency and improving how we do business across the board. As is the case with the Long Island, we participated in a number of employee engagement events over the course of the last month. We participated in Operation Lifesaver's annual C-Trax Think Train Week in September, which was right after our last meeting. In collaboration with the MTA PD, the Connecticut Department of Transportation, and the FRA, our staff connected with nearly 3,000 individuals at outreach events across our territory, reinforcing our commitment to rail safety. Whether it was at grade crossing stations or by engaging customers at Grand Central Terminal in Stamford, our teams worked to raise awareness about safe behaviors near tracks and trains. I'd like to call out Randy Glucksman, who came to one of our events at Spring Valley, west of Hudson, highlighting the significance of those efforts. And on the final Friday of the campaign, hundreds of Metro-North employees proudly wore our C-Tracks Think Train Week shirts, bringing energy and enthusiasm to the shared mission of safety. I want to thank everybody who was involved during that week. Like Long Island, we also participated in the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention's Out of the Darkness Walk. This walk was at Harbor Island, Mamaroneck. This annual event helps raise awareness about mental health and suicide prevention, and we really appreciate the employees who took the time to support this initiative. Continuing the spirit of giving, we also had a group who participated in the Sunday, October 20th, Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk in Central Park and Jones Beach. This annual event brings awareness to funding research and provides support to those affected by breast cancer. Through the combined efforts of all the MTA agencies, we collectively donated more than $44,000, and Metro-North raised $6,000 of that total. This reflects the generosity and dedication of the entire MTA workforce, and I want to call out the special efforts of Eunice Poku and Taylor Gill, who enthusiastically led this initiative on behalf of Metro-North, so thanks to the two of them. Last Wednesday, on the 23rd of October, we hosted our most recent Connect With Us event at White Plains Station, which is the third busiest Metro-North station after GCT and Stamford. The service team leaders and I and some folks from the customer services group were able to interact directly with our customers. These meet and greet sessions are really a great way to be able to hear what customers' concerns are so that we can be better responsive to those concerns. As I know this committee knows, White Plains is a significant reverse commute destination, so it's not just folks getting on trains at White Plains in the morning. We see a lot of people getting off the trains in the morning as well, going to job destinations around White Plains. So to hear both ends of the customer experience, those who are getting off the train in the morning and those who are boarding on trains to go to Grand Central, it's really helpful for us to get out there to be able to be more responsive to the service needs of our customers. So thanks to everybody who participated in that event. I also am thrilled to share the overwhelming success of our Harmon Shop open house, which occurred on Saturday, October 5th. It was the first time we had done one of these since 2008, celebrating the completion of the Harmon Shop project, which had spanned multiple capital programs. There were nearly 2,000 attendees, mostly employees, but not just employees. We had Randy was there. We had a lot of retirees were there. Midori was there. It was really a terrific day for employees, their families, rail fans, the community. It was just really a terrific day. An opportunity for our employees to showcase the work of the various departments. We were able to highlight some of the wrapped locomotives. It was really just a terrific team building and community building event. And I'm just incredibly grateful to the entire team who put this event together. It took really about a year of planning. The Harmon Open House Committee did an amazing job. Every department participated and volunteers at the event. I want to specifically call out the work of Maureen Taylor, Jenny Brown, Jerry Adams, Walter Dinsmore, Emily Moser, and Blanca Harris for their talent and coordination to ensure that this event went smoothly. It was really quite something. The last employee engagement event I want to highlight are our annual President's Awards. We had good participation, not just from the Metro-North team, but also from folks from headquarters. Some board members were there. It was really a great day. It's an annual event that we've done since the 1980s to be able to recognize those employees and those teams that come together to accomplish great things. This year, our individual honorees were Walter Dinsmore, Superintendent, Harmon Car Shop in the Maintenance of Equipment Department, Anthony Proetta, Assistant Director, Locomotive Engineer Training, Operations Training Department, Rich Sarlo, a Supervisor in the Structures Department, Maintenance of Way at Croton Harmon, and Jason Sturity, a Conductor on the Harlem Line in the Transportation Department. Our Team Excellence Award winners were the Garrison Track Race Team, the New Haven Stamford Switch Replacement Project Team, the North White Plains Freight Paint and Wrap Team. Their achievements inspire us all, and I'm really proud of their dedication to our railroad. Again, I want to give a special shout out to the selection committee, the volunteers, and everybody who made this event possible. Finally, I just wanted to call out the fact that one of the things that we talked about in my remarks at the President's Award was the fact that our friend Neil Zuckerman here had lost a jacket on one of our Metro North trains a little while ago. I know, I was hoping you would wear it so I could actually point out the jacket, right? I know it, right? So anyway, so this jacket was found at the end of the trip by a crew member who turned it into our lost and found office. And when Neil inquired about his lost jacket, we were happy to be able to reunite him with the jacket. So I just wanted to take this as the opportunity to sort of call out our lost and found department. So far this year, we have reunited 8,301 customers with their left behind items, which is a pretty impressive number. We've always taken pride in taking care of our customers, and reuniting them with their stuff is one way of showing them that we care. So I just want to use this as the opportunity to thank them for the amazing work that they do all the time. And that's it for my remarks. I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions for Kathy? Yes. Dan?
Thank you very much. Just one question, and it comes out of the key performance metrics book. And since you're sitting right next to me, I'll point out the page that I'm looking at. On 25, it runs through the on-time performance for both east of Hudson and west of Hudson. The east of Hudson chart is very smooth.
Yep.
The west of Hudson is a little bit more volatile.
Sure.
Can you, and both hitting their targets, so congratulations to you. And also, I came in toward the end of Rob's presentation. I want to congratulate him too, and also recognizing the significant difference on Long Island Railroad from last summer to this summer, which is a big deal. So congratulations. But can you just explain what the difference is here and why
absolutely.
we see so many so much more differential west of Hudson?
Yeah, I mean, I think as we've reported in the past, the west of Hudson service is operated under contract with New Jersey Transit. So we don't actually operate our service ourselves. So it's the Port Jervis line and the Pascack Valley line. So the Pascack Valley line is, Randy knows the Pascack Valley line very well. It's single track, largely through the state of New Jersey. So there's a number of operational challenges within the state of New Jersey that affect the performance of that line. The Port Jervis line runs, more than 70 miles from Port Jervis in Orange County, through the state of New York, again, through the state of New Jersey. So there are different challenges that will affect operational performance on any given month. There's mechanical challenges. We're actually trying to address some of those in the capital program by replacing some of the locomotives there. As you know, that there have been some other New Jersey challenges over the course of the summer with respect to some power issues that unfortunately our customers are not immune from. We do meet regularly with New Jersey Transit to be able to understand better the source of some of these operational delays. It tends to be a variety of things. They'll have a grade crossing incident, or there's just various operational issues that will affect performance along along both of these lines. But it is, it's a little bit different because we don't run the service ourselves.
Okay, thank you.
Neil, please.
Great, thank you. I'm going to just take a couple minutes on one thing, and it's not about my jacket, although thank you for that, because that jacket was treasured not only because of its green color, but because it was just fit really well, and it does fit very well. Anyway, I do want to make one observation, which is I think mostly a toast to our staff and our thoughtfulness on customer service. It's a 50th anniversary of Cairo's book, The Power Broker, and there's been an enormous number of conversations and books written about the book and the like. There's a podcast I've been listening to that goes into great detail about chapter by chapter reviewing it. And I just heard the podcast where they cover the chapter where Cairo talks about the Cross Bronx, and he says, I'm going to explain this in discussing 1 mile of the 7 miles. And he goes into great detail about 1 mile. So I'm going to do a similar take on one station on the Hudson line, which happens to be my station, Garrison. I've been in this board over a decade now, which is extraordinary to me. It starts to get close to David Mack's tenure, but certainly more than most everyone else on this board. I will tell you that station has been sad in some ways. It was beautifully done in the late 80s, early 90s, and it needed work. And we're now almost done with the second staircase, the east side staircase of the station. The revised one on the west side is clean and beautiful. We have new signage. We have new stands. We have a removal of hundreds of, must have been tons of concrete that had spalled out. It is exactly the kind of work that we do that's small, that most people wouldn't notice. It wouldn't show up in a capital plan. It's certainly not part of our $65 billion next plan. It's the kind of work that gets done in the crevices of our time. It gets done because members of the public comment on it. It's the kind of thing that helps people feel so positive about the railroads, the kind of thing that leads to these positive numbers about customer service, the kind of thing that keeps people riding. It keeps them feeling motivated, interested, and comfortable that they're being taken care of, that their money, that the price they pay is actually well worth it. So I thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Justin, for making sure that these things, these small things that get done, little stations, little cleanup, little moves, happen over time, and it changes mindset. So thank you.
I want to thank the C&D team for their work, but also the M&W team for the staircase work there. And I also just want to use this as an opportunity to plug the capital program submission, which really highlights the acute and very significant station needs really across Metro North Territory. I mean, we've got stations, especially on the Lower Harlem, but not exclusively on the Lower Harlem, as Neil points out, that are in dire need of rehabilitation. So we're very happy to see that this need is specifically called out in the upcoming this capital program submission and the upcoming capital program.
Thank you, Kathy. Any other questions? Okay, I'd like to take a step back and go to the approval of the minutes. The minutes for the September joint committee meetings have been distributed to all the members. Are there any corrections or admissions? There being none, I move to approve the minutes. Second. Second, Mr. Mack. All those in favor? Aye. Approved. Thank you. Now back on schedule to the operations report. We will now hear from Tom Kost for a report on the Long Island Railroad operations. Tom?
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everyone. Total on-time performance for the month of September was 96%, above goal of 94%, and year-to-date as of September is 95.5%, above goal of 94%. For the month of September, 12 branches operated at or above goal, and year-to-date as of September, 10 branches operated at or above goal. For major events which result in 10 or more late trains, there were 6 incidents for the month of September. The most significant event occurred on September 20th when there was a broken rail near Syosset Station. This event resulted in 46 delays, negatively impacting on-time performance by 0.2%. For our fleet performance, the MDBF for the month of August was 115,521 miles below goal of 150,000 miles, and MDBF year-to-date as of August is 152,740 miles above goal of 150,000 miles. One driver in the MDBF reduction was PTC issues. Our PTC and mechanical groups are currently installing an onboard computer software update which should address those issues. For service delivery, we completed 99.8% of our trips for the month of September, and we completed 99.6% of our trips year-to-date. For upcoming work that will impact service, on the weekends of November 2nd and 3rd and November 9th and 10th, ADA work will take place at St. Albans stations. Buses will replace trains at St. Albans for approximately 48 hours. On the weekend of November 9th and 10th, switch installation will take place near East New York Station. New York City Transit will cross on a Long Island Railroad fares between Jamaica and Atlantic Terminal for approximately 48 hours. And then beginning on November 11th through Friday, November 22nd, track maintenance and various piggybacking activities will take place between Riverhead and Greenport. Buses will replace trains between Riverhead and Greenport for that 2-week period. Please check the website and Train Time app for updated schedules. And now on to fall leaf season. With leaf season upon us, we've been preparing to mitigate slip-slide effects to our operation. Part of our mitigation efforts is the operation of 2 special laser cars that began operating on October 11th to burn the pectin from the top of the rail. We also deploy a high-pressure wash car to clean the rails and use strategically placed sandite applicators for extra traction in known problem spots. While a beautiful sight, falling leaves and wet conditions cause significant problems. These mitigation efforts go a long way in minimizing their impacts. That concludes my report. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Tom. Any questions for Tom? Okay. Now we're going to move to your partner in crime, Justin Vonasek. I shouldn't say that today, crime, huh? Over at Metro North Operations.
All right, good morning. The operations report begins on page 24. Our service delivered rate for September was 99.9%. System-wide on-time performance for September was 98.9, exceeding our goal of 94%, and year-to-date OTP was also above goal at 98.4%. This marks our highest OTP on record for September, and it continues to remain the highest year-to-date OTP in our history. Regarding fleet reliability, the mean distance between failures for August was over 239,000 miles, above goal of 200,000 miles. And to help with service reliability during leaf season, we began operating the laser train earlier this month. Building on last year's success with record low slip-slide incidents and delays, we've set our goals even higher this year. Our team has made several key improvements, including system upgrades to minimize maintenance downtime, streamlined system components to lower costs, and real-time monitoring of our track cleaning vehicles. Although many leaves still remain on the trees, we have already begun to see the benefits of these enhancements. And I am pleased to announce that regular Waterbury service began this morning after weeks of restoration work following the washout that occurred during Connecticut's historic floods in August. Thanks to the efforts of Connecticut DOT, their contractors, and our M&W team, this work was completed 2 weeks early. Great job by all involved. And that concludes my remarks.
Any questions for Justin? Okay, we're going to move on now to the Long Island Railroad Safety Report. Christopher Gow will provide the Railroad Safety Report.
Good morning, everyone. Long Island Railroad Safety Report can be found on page 16 of the committee book. The reportable customer injury rate decreased from 2.49 to 1.76 per 1 million customers in the current 12-month reporting period. That spans from September 2023 to August 2024. The reportable employee lost time injury rate decreased from 4.65 to 3.94 per 200,000 working hours compared to the prior 12 months. For our September safety focus event where we engage with employees, we freshened things up by providing an opportunity for employees to win packages. We had encouraged employees to review tips to mitigate against slips, trips, and falls, and they did this through participation in a quiz that was via scratch-off and also through an application. We received 550 valid entries, and we selected 5 employees from those entries that scored 100% on the quiz and gave them each prizes. And in addition to that, members of our executive team and leadership team met with employees at the West Side Yard facility to have them speak on their safety experiences. And that concludes my remarks.
Thank you. Any questions for Christopher? Okay, Shelley Pritterman, can you provide us with the Metro North Safety Report?
Yes, certainly. Good morning. Metro North Safety Report can be found on page 30 of the Performance Metrics book. So Metro North's customer and employee injury rates continue to show improvement over the prior reporting period. The current 12-month reporting period ends August 2024 as compared to the prior 12 months ending August 2023. The reportable customer injury rate decreased from 2.13 to 1.52 per 1 million customers, and the reportable employee lost time injury rate decreased from 2.05 to 1.77 per 200,000 working hours. President Rinaldi mentioned Metro North's participation in Operation Lifesaver, C-Track's Think Train Week last month, September 23rd to 29th. And I want to add special thanks to our partners at the MTA Police Department, Connecticut DOT, the FRA and NJ Transit, as well as our colleagues in station operations and other Metro North departments who joined with the Office of System Safety staff on our safety outreach efforts during the week. And finally, I'm very pleased to introduce an important new member of Metro North's safety team, our new safety mascot, Trax the dog, and we have a photograph. So Trax made his debut at the Harmon Open House event that President Rinaldi also spoke about earlier and was warmly welcomed by all in attendance. You can see him in the photo here alongside the original Metro Man robot. And of course, this transition also means bidding farewell to Metro Man himself, who is stepping aside after many years of dedicated service to rail safety at Metro North. So I want to thank him for his service and wish him well in his retirement. On that note, I'll conclude my remarks, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Shelley. Any questions for Shelley? Yes, Dan?
Thank you. Mine is for both Metro North and Long Island Railroad on the customer accident rate, which has gone down significantly, and congratulations. I think that's a very big and important statistic here. I really am wondering why it has gone down in both cases, and what, if anything, has been done in each of the railroads here to prompt that reduction, because it's impressive, and whatever you're doing, I hope you keep doing it, but I wanted to see if you could describe some rationale to that.
Sure. Yeah, so there's several factors that go into that. One is all the engagement and training and controls we put in place for all the different issues we've identified. We're now reaping the benefits of that. And in addition to that, some of our methodologies may have been tweaked, but I'll be happy to go into that further in details with you offline.
I'm sorry. So the methodology. So is that a way of saying that we've changed the way that we're measuring the customer accident rate, and that's the reason why the number's down, or is it that there's something else?
There's something else with regards to how we take into consideration numbers at the terminal, specifically Penn Station, and maybe a few other factors as well. But again, I can.
Dan, what that means, I think, Chris, to help, is that Penn Station is shared by Amtrak, and there's incidents that occur on Amtrak's level, if I'm not mistaken, Chris, that
Correct.
factors into it, and they were being charged to our accident rate, and we've worked with the FRA on those reporting structures.
Right.
Am I accurate?
100%. Yeah.
When did we start doing that? When did we start separating off the Amtrak customer incidents from our own Long Island Railroad customer incidents?
Yeah, I believe that started either earlier this year or late last year.
Okay. Okay, well, there certainly was a decrease from the end of calendar year 2023 to now.
I think some of the benefits, as well as the new corridor in Penn Station, has helped dramatically. Some of the stair work we've performed, and actually opening Grand Central Madison too, the ability for, otherwise all those customers would be traveling to Penn Station. So Grand Central Madison is much bigger, wider as far as the egress and ingress locations. So I think that helps as well. That ability to have that other location instead of all these customers at one terminal, that in a lot of cases, and that's why we're going through looking at Penn Station, rehabilitating it and everything else like that, to update it, to help with customers and create more stairs both to the platforms and up and things like that.
Okay.
So obviously it's a much older facility and needs some work. So I think all those benefits on top of a really an intense customer awareness campaign helps with those numbers.
Okay, great. Let me turn to Metro North too.
So I'd point to a couple things. One thing that we do for customer safety is anytime there's an incident or injury, we investigate that in partnership with operations. So I really have to point to not just the system safety staff, but the operations staff who work with us to make sure that there's no issue that needs to be resolved. For example, a lot of the incidents are slips, trips, and falls. So if a customer slips on a platform, to make sure that the platform is up to repair. Another aspect is the outreach to customers. We continually refresh our outreach, and so I have to put a shout out to our partners at headquarters who help us to continually refresh those safety campaigns, because reminding customers not to run or rush, but to take their time and to step carefully and to understand how to behave safely around trains and tracks. And our tracks outreach program, which we were just touching on, of course, is a large part of that as well. Continuing the outreach to our customers and doing proactive education. And what we did during C-Tracks Think Trains Week with the grade crossing outreach, the station outreach, that's all a part of it as well, to help our customers stay safe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, Jerry.
I'll answer that. Harassment is constituted in New York State penal law. It's actually penal law 240, and it is a slap, a punch, or a kick without a visible injury. It could be spitting, it could be slapping, but there's no physical injury. So it is listed as a violation in the penal law. Exactly.
Chief, just to clarify that number is inclusive of MTA PD officers as well?
Yes, I'll get into that in my report
Just
if you
to
want me to just go with that.
Any other questions, or we'll just segue right into the chief's report?
Okay, Chief's
all
report. Good
yours.
morning, Board and Presidents. So for the month of September 2024, the MTA PD reports 31 Part 1 crimes. We had 14 grand larcenies. We had 11 felony assaults. We had 3 burglaries. We had 2 grand larceny autos, and we had 1 rape. To the question earlier, the 2 drivers of our Part 1 crimes, grand larceny, 11 of those, unfortunately, are unattended property. We appreciate the MTA headquarters continuing to push out reminders to our passengers to be mindful of their property. With respect to the results, Mr. Bringman, exactly the point. We had 11 felony assaults, and 5 of those were committed against MTA police officers doing their work, and 3 were against our conductors or staff, and we had 3 that were against commuters. So that, yes, those assaults encompass assaults against officers, and unfortunately, we have seen an uptick in those with respect to the increased enforcement that has taken place in the last year or so. Thank you.
Any questions for the chief? Thank you, Chief Muller, for your report. And now I'd like to ask Rob, can you please take us through the information items for the Long Island Railroad?
Sure, Chair. Let's see, 2025 preliminary budget is in the book, and a November timetable change, which I highlighted myself and as Tommy did, relative to the work taking place on the East River tunnels and then just track work that takes place throughout the system. Those 2 items are in the book.
Thank you. And Kathy, you take us through the Metro North items.
Sure. So, as is the case with Long Island, the 2024 preliminary budget is in the book. I also want to call out a staff summary that will be going to CPC later today and ultimately to the board for approval, which is to procure design build services for ADA improvements at 3 stations in the Bronx. This is actually the first suite of ADA improvements in the current capital program. It's been a priority of the railroads for some time, and I just wanted to thank C&D for their work in shepherding this through. It's for any of you who've been to Williamsbridge Station, we've had a construction stair in place there for, 3 years, and to actually be able to do the work there has been a priority of ours for a while, and kind of reinforces what Neil and I were talking about a little while ago, the extent of the station need across the Metro North system. So, thanks to C&D for being able to get this one through.
Okay. Now, the finance reports for the railroads are also in the book. For procurements, there's 1 procurement this month. Kathy, you want to take us through that?
Sure. Actually, I think Omar Masato from the procurement group is here to run us through it.
Thank you, everyone. Good morning. Metro North, on behalf of itself and Long Island Railroad, submits for your approval to award a competitively solicited, negotiated, estimated quantities contract to the firm GE Grid Solutions, Incorporated, GE, to provide new positive train control PTC data radios. The PTC signaling and communications technology that was implemented as part of a federal mandate was designed to make commuter rail safer. To function properly, the PTC requires a communication network whereby the use of a 220 megahertz radio system, which is located on both the rail car and on the wayside, that verifies GPS coordinates, train locations, and transmits data between the train, the PTC control center, and the wayside signaling system. The current PTC radio became obsolete, and to ensure continuous PTC functionality, a new radio was required. Under this contract, GE will use its proprietary firmware coupled with all engineering efforts to design, build, and test the next generation PTC data radio, which would include backwards compatibility to work with the legacy radio in use by the railroads. GE's negotiated price for the railroads is in the amount of $3,797,000. This includes all project engineering, hardware, and firmware integration, factory validation, prototype testing, and delivery of the first production units over a 5-year period. Each radio supplied will have a 5-year warranty and will replace the legacy radios as they fail. The pricing is determined to be fair and reasonable based on a comparison to prior pricing for the obsolete radio. Should the railroads require to procure additional radios within the contract term, the negotiated fixed price will be $2,950. Further, GE will continue to support the legacy units up until the time in which the new radios will be available. This procurement is funded by the railroad's operating budget. Are there any questions?
Have any questions? Yes, Neil.
This is not about this procurement, although I think when I hear proprietary technologies on something like radio, I get a little nervous. But I won't dwell on it. I'm sure there's a reason for it. But I do think, Kathy, and again, most people here are not familiar with the angst before COVID, before our fiscal cliffs and then rebirths, et cetera, that PTC was an actually enormous challenge both for us as well as those who run railroads across the country, and a desperate need given that we had a rash of crashes long before Kathy was in charge, but in the early 2010s. So I would ask, maybe it'd just be worth it to put on the docket at no rush, could be any monthly meeting that we don't have a lot on, but I think just a recap 4 years on into PTC, how it's been going, how has it been using. I certainly would be just curious, not because I have a particular reason that I said, oh my God, what's going on, but given its importance to our safety, both locally and nationally, I'd just be curious to hear a report at some point about how it's been going, how's the product been, if you will, the technology been used, and has it been useful?
Yeah, no, we could absolutely do that. I think not only from an operations perspective, but I think, hopefully from a procurement perspective in terms of, some of the future challenges that we're going to have in terms of keeping the system upgraded. I think that would be helpful for the committee and board to hear.
Thank you. Any other questions? And now, co-chair. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
We didn't vote on the motion. We didn't vote.
Oh, we didn't vote. Okay. I'm sorry. Do I have a motion for the procurement?
Motion.
Motion by my co-chair. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Signify by aye. Any opposed? The motion is approved. Thank you. Now for the motion to adjourn. No one wants to adjourn? Move to adjourn. Dan, to a second. All in favor. Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.